I welcome Senator Russell Pearce.
Thank you. It's hard to stand before a group like this and take credit for anything. You are what keeps this vigilant fight for freedom alive. I think often as we worked out in the legislature, and it's been the history of this great country. The candle of liberty has always been kept burning because of a vigilant view. And let me thank you for being that vigilant view. I want to tell you, of course you guys don't know Sheriff Joe, right? I did the other day, and you know what a sensitive guy he is. And so anyway, I was noticing the other day that we had a dead body in the Salt River. And in this dead body, I noticed it was kind of a hometown hero. And the family was coming as they had identified this guy. And it was really kind of sad. He had on women's underwear and a women's rod. And he had on an Obama t-shirt. Well, the sheriff, being the sensitive guy, was in order to avoid the embarrassment of the family, he removed the Obama t-shirt. I love talking to patriots. And I got to tell you, and again, I entered politics because I didn't have a lot to lose. Keeping a job, as you read, as you heard, was rather difficult. So anyway, I'm one of 13. My wife's one of 7. We don't have 122 grandchildren, but I do have over 100 nephews and nieces. And so I do check their registration. I make sure they vote. It allows me to do what I need to do. I don't need any friends. So anyway, my job as appropriations chair is to be the gatekeeper, not the gift giver. It's your money, and I'm cheap with mine, and I'm cheap with yours. Let me tell you, about the Constitution, and I wish everybody who ran for office would read it and honor it. But one of our main jobs, one of our primary responsibility, if not the primary responsibility, is not to give you stuff. It's to protect your life, your liberty, and your property above all else. Your freedom is what this is about. Your ability to make choices that are good for you and your family without the impediment. In fact, it's kind of interesting. I love reading about the families. And I have many favorites that are among our founding fathers. But I love reading about our founding fathers and the sacrifices they made and the struggles they made. And as you know, and all of you here I'm sure do know, when this Constitution was written, coupled with it was a Bill of Rights. Great debate, as you know, and I love Patrick Henry, you all remember giving death. Probably very few of you know the whole speech, read the whole speech in the author. That impassioned speech of closed doors where he threw himself on the floor and talked about we will fight now. When do we fight? After we're live and changed, no longer can move and defend ourselves. And so anyway, as I think about these founding fathers, and I look at it, and I think, why in the world, not only do we have our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, where they committed their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, but coupled with that, as they put together this document called the Constitution, they felt compelled to put together a Bill of Rights. A Bill of Rights where government didn't give you anything. Its obligation was to protect what you had by right, your God-given rights. That wasn't because they thought just bad people would do things. They knew that good people would do bad things with good intentions. And that's what it's about, folks. We're not to use government as a tool to socialize or to create social justice. We're to use the tools to protect your liberties and your God-given rights. And I take great pride in that. And I don't apologize for defending America. I don't apologize for defending our sovereignty. I don't apologize for demanding that our laws be enforced and our citizens' constitutional rights be protected. And I won't apologize. And I won't apologize for your right. Many of you know, if you don't know, I'll confess, I am a Republican. And actually proud to be it. I got to tell you, I have 2 boys in law enforcement. And I spent most of my career in law enforcement. And I always like to tease people a little bit. And some of us, not as funny as others, but I have a son that was shot and critically injured, almost died while serving search warrants on homicide suspects that were here illegally. And they got him fighting and sued. So always sees about following his dad's footsteps. And as young deputy, I was shot through the hand and shot through the chest. And I tell people I owe my life to this Republican Party. And some of you would probably wonder why I would say such a thing. Well, you know the reputation of Republicans. You know, we're the ones without hearts. If I had a heart, I would be dead today. I want you to know I am grateful to be a Republican. I owe my life to this party, and we'll stay firm. But I want to tell you, it is a good environment in the legislature. Now, we have our battles, and those battles are raging sometimes, and sometimes our own party disappoints us. The party which I thought believes is the party of freedom and liberty and those rights. But we have a governor who we fight with on certain issues, but give her credit. The credit must be that we've gotten more done this year in terms of liberty than we've accomplished in the last 6 years. So anyway, and I don't want to take a lot of time because I know you've got a lot of speakers that are long afternoon. I just want to thank you, and I do want to encourage one thing. How many of you are precinct committee? Let me tell you why it's important. Thank you. Thank you. I mean that. The most powerful position in America today is that of a precinct committee. I overstate a little bit. But you decide the leadership of your district. You decide the leadership of your county. You decide the leadership of your state. Those folks go to Washington, D.C. and represent your values and your positions and your platform. If there's a vacancy in your legislative district, those precinct committeemen will decide who fills that vacancy. If you want strong leadership, moral leadership, those that have the courage to do what's right, get involved. RussellPearce.com, if you don't know what precinct you live in and who to contact, just give me an email and I'll find it for you and I'll get you in touch. I'll get you appointed initially if there's a vacancy in your precinct. Let me solicit. Let me plead with you to get involved. And obviously you're all involved. But the second step, become a precinct committee. You guys, I mean, I don't know if a more vigilant group here, and you need to be represented at the grassroots level of demanding and holding accountable those who represent you and making sure they're conservative and they're freedom-loving and they keep their oath of office and they do what they're supposed to do. If not, fire them. Remove them from office. You got a challenge right now in Washington, D.C., and I believe it's gangster government. You know, they're taking over everything in the world. They're telling you about your health care. They're running car companies. They're running banks. I mean, it's absolutely out of control. Out of control. And once freedom is lost, I believe you'll only gain it back by the shedding of blood. Folks, you must preserve and protect your freedoms above all else. That's what we owe our children. That's what we owe our grandchildren. That's the legacy we were left. It's the legacy we have an obligation to leave for our posterity. And with that, there's a lot more I could say. 10 minutes, that was just a warm-up. You guys may know that. Not surprised there's no bell down there. But I want to tell you, I love you. I appreciate you. Stay vigilant. Stay in the battle. Help us. Get involved in this PC. Help us. Community encouragement and stuff. But I want to thank you. I want to personally thank not only some of these folks that I know very, very well for the way they've stood with us down there and defending your liberties, but I want to thank those who are also get engaged. You know, if you have the luxury of having more friends than you need, run for office, because you won't have as many when you're done. But I appreciate very much these folks that are willing to stand and do what's right, but they need you. They honestly need you. God bless you. God continue to bless America. Defend liberty above all else. And thank you very much.